The following program is a fan-made review and reaction show. It is in no way affiliated with the movie trivia Schmoedown or Skybound Entertainment.
Welcome back, folks, to another episode of the Ultimate Schmoedown Show. We are back. We got 3 hot matches to talk about this week in the singles tournament. I'm your host, Colin. Joining me today, all the way across the pond, is the only other person on this crew who has also seen the movie Tenet, and there will be no spoilers on this show. Over here, Bogz. How's it going, bud?
Oh, I thought this was the Tenet spoiler review, no?
No, that may also be on the channel if we want to put that up. Who knows? Let us know in the comments below.
Could do, yeah. Yeah, but apart from that, all good, man. Just another week, another action-packed week. And yeah, can't wait to break things down with you before our live show Friday night.
Dude, Friday night. What a segue. You know, we're getting real good at this. This is pro stuff. Because today's match, Mark Riley versus Video Drew, you'll be seeing this on Thursday. So hopefully, you might be watching this before or after you watch that match. Catch our review of that live tomorrow at 8 p.m. East Coast time. And we'll be joined by a very special guest. Bogz, should we let him know now?
Why not? Let's do it.
The delinquent himself, Lon Harris, will be joining the Ultimate Schmoedown Show. Folks, do you get guests like this all the time? No. So we're going to take this one very seriously. I don't know if you've been following the show, but we've had his brother, Don, on the show. And today, later on in the show, we're going to have our very own lawn hunter himself, John Barr, see if he could track down Lon one last time before he joins us on the show. I can't wait, Bogz, because hopefully somebody's kept him fed, and hopefully, they've cleaned up that theater enough so that other people can come and enjoy maybe Tenet.
Yeah, I mean, I want to try it and not just kind of lose myself laughing the whole stream. So that's my aim. Just try not to, try and keep composed and ask him some decent questions and not just laugh at everything that he says. So that's my goal for that.
Okay,
stream.
Bogz, you're on the red team. I'm on the blue team. I'll start at the end. You start at the beginning, and I'll see you somewhere in the middle, bud. How about that? And see, if you know, you know. So let's get into it. We had 3 great matches this week. Monday's match.
Yep.
We had Liz Shannon Miller going off against the Switchblade, Rachel Silvestrini. Lightning Liz Shannon Miller. Talk about that fire-bending lightning energy this girl's got going on. She's got mad Princess Azula vibes I see coming out right now. And then that Tuesday match with the return of the Sneider himself, making his return to the ring. It's been almost a year. It feels like it's been a year. In the times we're living in right now, it's felt like 4 years. Going up against the party crasher, Robert Montano. Oh, that match gets the heart pumping a couple times. I mean, not in unexpected ways.
Yep.
We're going to close it out with a, all-time first round talent-wise in a match. The Barbarian, Craig, the Barbarian, going up against Whitney Seibold, just a true vet in this league now. Whitney's just been hanging around a couple seasons and knows his way around. And it was definitely, there's a couple of people right now that I think they're going to look at their performances this season and think that a change of scenery could do them well. Whitney's one of those guys. I think probably Rachel might be one of those looking for maybe we say this in the NFL and the NBA. There's always articles right after free agency. It says old faces in new places. And I think we're going to see a lot of that next season. And I think it's going to be for the betterment of a lot of the players. Bogz, let's hop into that Monday match, man. Because Lightning Liz and the Switchblade, and they went at it. It was a back alley brawl. I mean, this match had everything you wanted, from trash talk at the top to just crazy knowledge getting thrown around here. And for Liz, who it's been a minute. I mean, this is her first digital match, and it's been since she went up against Del Rio Well, I mean, back in the studio days, and that was a long time ago. We keep talking about time. That feels like 2 years ago. So to come back in and perform the way she did was just, I mean, if you're swag, you feel like you got a little gem here right now, because these are now just free points that you got going for swag. And at the top of the leaderboard, you'll take anything to separate yourself. So going through this one, both of them pretty even through the first round. I mean, it gets a little dicey there for Rachel. She falls behind 3-2, comes back, stays with Liz, both missing the sixth question. And then both of them nailing the last two, and it's only a 1 point lead for Liz going into round two. Overall, at this point, no perfect round, so that's a win if you're Rachel. You don't get that extra little bump to go up, to be down 3. It's a 9-6. It's huge. It's way different from 7-6. 7-6, sure. You're in the game. Bogz, were you leaning a certain way after round 1? Were you surprised to see Lightning Liz come out and perform like this? Or do you think this is just what we should come to expect from her now?
Yeah, so I'll address a few things there, just my thoughts on round 1. I've got one quite important point to make. I'll come to that last. Firstly, I just think I was super, super impressed with Liz Shannon-Miller. I completely forgot of how kind of just of how good she is. Like, there's a reason why she's beaten Del Rio. Obviously, we've just seen him lately against Chance, how well he's done. She's got a win against him, a win against JTE, which she was never supposed to win. And yeah, she's obviously going into this match and just going clear, obviously missing the one question, as opposed to Silvestrini, where, big things are expected. She talks a big game, a faction talker up. She goes back and forth with the fans a lot. And yeah, we're expecting kind of big things from her, because even in the promo, she's attacking Miller's record, saying wins against, lesser players, against nobodies. But I mean, compared to you, who's 0-2, I mean, if you're going to do that, that's fine. You got to back it up, though. You got to back it up. And obviously going 7-6 down, it wasn't a massive deficit, but you were down.
Liz passed the Colin test. Rachel did not. 6.5.
Yeah, exactly.
Liz passed.
I thought that. Yeah. As soon as I saw it, I thought that. But I've got a major issue with round 1, and it's slightly controversial. So just bear with me a minute whilst I'll explain. So get ready, Colin, because you're going to love this. Okay. So the last match, okay. So I don't know if you were aware, the last match that the Pride played were against Final Exam, right?
Correct.
And a question was asked, and wait, let me just skip a little bit. Like, so I saw Janine's tweet after their match. Do you happen to see that tweet by any chance?
I did not. Well, okay. I think I did. Yeah, I think I did.
Can you tell me
what it is? I don't remember what it said, but I remember seeing something.
Yeah, it was a bit controversial.
Yeah.
And she said that she believes that some players do not study black movies. Okay, in the Schmoedown. Okay, they watch them, they don't study them. Like, they study other categories, other wheel slices. And I thought, and I remember seeing it, and I remember thinking, that's not true. Surely that can't be true, especially in today's society, where everything going on politically in America and around a lot of the Western societies and stuff. Like, surely, like, in the first round now that you're getting asked questions about about black movies or a character.
She really said Dolomite is my name, didn't she?
That's what I'm getting to. That's what. Wow. Just give me a minute. Just give me a minute. Yeah, just give me a minute. Let me build it up. Okay. So she's gone. Because this is my point. Like, in the last Pride match, that's when Janine tweeted it. Okay. And that question was, who played Martin Luther King? Okay, not no little character or no who played Martin Luther King in Selma. Okay. And I think I don't remember exactly. I think everyone got it right apart from Rachel. And it was David. I forgot the pronunciation of his surname. It's Oleo or something, but he's British. I know the guy. He voices Agent Callis in Star Wars Rebels. But anyway, that's him. Yeah, that's him. Yeah, and he's the guy. Okay, so that. That's what she tweeted. Anyway, yeah, it's the same guy. But anyway, she's the one that tweeted that. Okay, and then it coming to this match. So obviously, I'm watching this round. I've heard the question. Who in what movie does Eddie Murphy put, where he portrays a prince, a barber, and an old Jewish guy? Right. Okay, and I'm thinking, obviously, it's like okay, bear in mind what Janina said. Bear in mind it's the same competitor that she's made that tweet against. Bear in mind this is one of the most iconic, culturally relevant movies. Yeah, absolutely. And it's the most iconic scene in that movie. Okay, so obviously they're talking. I don't know. I thought maybe it's a guy thing because in that scene they're specifically talking about who's the best fighter of all time, who's the best boxer. They're talking about Muhammad Ali, they're talking about Mike Tyson. Yeah, that's how I specifically remember that scene. And they've both. Yeah, one said Dolomite is my name, and the other has said
Nutty Professor.
No Professor. I'm like, what? Winston must have been pulling his hair out. I thought, what the hell? And then my summary to that story is, Ginny's right. Ginny's right. How do you not know that? That is one of the most iconic movies for any minority.
And on the level of like, if we want to like put like, that's not even a deep cut.
Match,
right. Like, you want to talk about like, that's not even a deep cut.
Exactly,
like not even a deep cut of a
round
movie.
One question.
You want to talk about a deep cut? Let's go like Undercover
I was
Brother.
so disappointed.
Like let's line up the cast of Undercover Brother for me. Like, come on. Like, let's get real. Like that. Like, come on.
I saw the tweet. I completely said, oh, Janine, what are you talking about? You know, that's just a silly statement.
No.
And to see it come to fruition, I was so gutted. I was like, oh my God. But obviously they didn't dwell on it. I knew Winston must have been pulling his hair out because that's an absolute basic question for, obviously coming to America, for any kind of minority, for any immigrant, for any refugee, for anyone else, I just, so many different minorities would have, that's an iconic movie. And for these guys just to casually miss it, and I thought, oh my God, it was just so, yeah, it just took me out of round one. But obviously we got back in after that. So yeah, I just wanted to get that off my chest.
No, you're good. You're good. I feel it. It's like it was definitely here, and you're like, oh,
yeah,
those were off.
I was waiting for Winston's
reaction. You can hit a drive right down the middle, or you could shank it left, you could shank it right, and somehow one went left and the other one went right. Like it was a completely different direction for each answer.
Exactly.
But I mean, Winston just has to be on cloud 9 at this point. Like we mentioned at the top of the show. I mean, he's got a diamond here right now. Like Liz she's on fire, and I did like the first question. The 2010s category was as kind of a mirror to a question we saw last week because we did see the question of
and that's unlucky, like it's one of the two, right?
One of the two, and these players probably didn't have the ability to like watch these matches before, watch the other competitors beforehand.
True. Yeah.
Where we get the benefit of hindsight. Mm-hmm. But going through, Shannon, she comes through and Rachel steals that second question for 1 point, leaving it 9-8. She checks down to multiple choice on the third question, nailing that, checks down again. Rachel stealing that one on the fourth question for another point. So it's 10-9 at the end of just Shannon's run here. So Rachel really closing the gap here. I mean, honestly, Rachel seems to take a bit of confidence coming out of that first round box. I was honestly I was shocked.
Yeah. Definitely was. It just overall seeing the score at the end where it's saying 10-9, I was like, wow. Because she did only get 3 points, surprisingly. But yeah, I mean, it wasn't the easiest round in the world, but Liz was there to sweep it all up. She swept the first one. Obviously, she kind of narrowed it down for her. And she's got the Matthew McConaughey one as well. So yeah, it was 10-9. I was thinking, oh man, she talks a good talk, Rachel, but obviously it wasn't coming to fruition.
Oh wait, was that Rachel that went first?
Yeah, no, Rachel went first. Yeah,
because it was opponent's choice. I'm going back and looking at the match. Rachel went first.
It was still 2010s though. It was
still 2010s, and then Rachel. So reverse those steals. Sorry, folks. Reverse those steals.
Yeah.
Shannon steals them. Or Liz Shannon steals them on 1 and 3, not 2 and 4. Pardon.
Yes, correct.
Excuse me. Correct. So then going into SNL, which the first question might be my favorite question ever asked in the Schmoedown. What movie do the main characters say? We're on a mission from God. Oh my God. Because everybody needs somebody. Oh man, Blues Brothers. It's the bomb. Sorry, Blues Brothers has a special part. It's a special place in my heart, man. Okay. I love the movie so much. So SNL movies, probably one of the if the deepest cut categories. You could probably get into some weird stuff on this one. Can we just put every Andy Samberg movie in here now? Can Hot Rod be in here? Because I think that needs to count. She goes in and she crushes this category.
Yep.
2, and checks down on the 4. Yeah, and that's it.
Yeah,
that's it.
Breeze
easy money.
So fact that was one of the quickest round 2s I think I've ever seen. Like it was all done probably within a minute, if that.
So she stole 3 points.
Yep.
And she scored 7. I mean, that's a hell of a second round. I mean, just, you know, yeah, that's taking advantage of every situation that comes before you. So going into round 3. Oh, let's take a second. Welcome to the desk, fellow reaction show host.
Yeah, I forgot. Yeah.
Danielle Ramirez. Welcome to the desk. Yeah. Congratulations. That was awesome. Well done filling in for the baby carrots himself. Maybe next time you can fill in for Christian Harloff. That would be nice. But I thought did a fantastic job.
She done great, man. Yeah, she done great. She was funny.
Was on it. Like
nice to see a lady doing it. I've seen a lady all season calling a match. Yeah, she done great, man. Another, one of us really. You know, she's done absolutely fantastic. I've seen her so many times on the call to action guys, and Schmoedown and all that. So yeah, she done absolutely fantastic. Congratulations to all you guys. Hopefully we see more of that.
Yeah, I mean, let's get some hosts in there at the end asking these questions. Christian, man, you gotta do all this stuff, baby. We're here. You need some help. We'll come in there. Ask. Need a new Jen Sturger? I can grow my hair out. Let's go.
That's it. Let's do it.
Let's go. Let me get these locks back like I had them back in high school. And man, let's just roll into that third round, man. That third round, 17-9. That's a ladder to climb.
Yep.
Steep ladder to climb. You got to have a lot of stuff go wrong, which is really hard to ask to do when somebody's playing as well as Liz was. 2-pointer, Mark Wahlberg plays some football. 3-pointer. Man, that was a tough question.
Yeah.
I mean, So that then causes some controversy.
Yeah.
So then she then just gets asked a new question, correct?
Yeah, basically, yeah. She's challenged it because Sterling K. Brown is prominent in the movie, but they've asked for the 2 leads.
Right.
Which I don't know that. I've not seen that movie, but I know he's in it. I know he's in it. That's it. So I kind of understand where she's coming from. I didn't know whether she's right in terms of a challenge, but he's the only face that I recognize in that movie. And she's got it. They've got it reversed, and she got another question, which she kind of half knew. She knew Jamie, but she didn't know the full name. And yeah, she's been TKO'd, and I just think Miller's just like, she's so nice. Like she's just smiling, just happy to be there. She's got like a different energy compared to a lot of other people, and she just seems like such a great player. And even Winston was like, yeah, she's so nice and everything. She just got a really good way about her, like a really nice vibe, and she knows her stuff.
It's a vibe. That's a great word. It's a vibe, and she sticks to it. It's very hard for your play style to suit your character. Whatever, she does. She's not a flamboyant character by any means.
She's like confident within herself.
Very confident, very calm, and she's a different type of competitor that reminds me of
she's like Perry.
Take the confidence out. Almost take the confidence out of Paul Oyama. Like original quiet Paul Oyama would come in and just play his game, right? Just came in and wanted to earn respect, and once he earned the respect. He was a different player, right? He was able to show that he was capable of hanging with the big boys, and he won his belt. Liz shows that kind of thirst, right? She wants to go after it and doesn't let the moment get her down.
Yeah.
It didn't seem at any point she never felt rattled, and that's huge with stacked up against what the rest of this tournament could possibly throw at her. I mean, Chance Ellison next up for her.
Yeah.
I know Chance Ellison knows Jamie Bell, so that won't be a problem. Quick shout out to Jamie Bell. So sorry that you had to be the second lead in Jumper, and then you were Ben Grimm in the worst Fantastic Four movie, and then you were the co-lead in Rocket Man. Like, come on. I mean, obviously, I've good come up for the guy. I like the guy. He's one of those guys that was in a lot of shit movies when I was growing up. It's like, hey, that guy's in a lot of stuff. He's a working actor. That guy's working. Chance is a working player, though.
Damn right.
But he's coming to play. Liz has a leg up. They both have now defeated Mr. Del Rio. Pretty impressive guy who came out really strong against Chance.
Did, yeah.
And gave him a real scrap, man. I mean, that was one of the best matches of the year if we're putting it in comparison, just match by match basis.
Yeah.
see what she's got. I think Chance is. I mean, if Chance can get through this, man, these are bigger tests than a lot of other people are having to go through right now in this tournament. That's all I'm gonna say. That's all I'm gonna say. He's got a hard road to get there, and if he gets through it, man, this is tough. This is tough. Some player of the year stuff. If he gets through all these players and keeps standing up against him, the way Barbarian's playing right now, and we'll get to his match after the next.
Yep.
Ooh, that's another one. You're just like, oh my God, that's like a full, the wave coming at the wave of water that rushes away the what are they? The Nazgul and the Riders and the Fellowship of the Ring. Yeah. That's what Chance and the Barbarian, just some of these guys like Sneider, that's just how they feel right now. They just feel like they're on a roll and you just can't stop them. And I want to see these waves go at it, like it's like two water benders in Avatar. Like, well, you both using water. I don't know what's going to happen here, but somebody's going to lose. Jeff Snyder's back. The Sneider has returned to the Schmoedown. One of the most anticipated returns for me all season long. I've been waiting. Jeff is one of, if you don't put Jeff on, if you don't have him somewhere near your top 5 all timers, you must have shown up like 2 years ago, because the man helped build this league. It is a cornerstone and probably is the greatest teams player of all time. Like I could say that with pretty good confidence. And if you don't agree with me, please come find me in the comment section, because I got years and years of Schmoedowns to back it up, because they're the only ones who have defended that belt that many times. The Patriots were the Patriots of the movie Trivia Schmoedown. They were the New England Patriots. They were the San Antonio Spurs. They were consistency all the time. And the dude has brought it back, and he's brought a vibe with him. The great David B's got that soundtrack that busts in the little Irish jig, little Boston jig every time. And I get up and dance like it's 2014 up in here, and the Patriots are coming out to play. It's awesome. And Sneider feels it too. I could tell. Sneider, let's just let him read the questions. Let him read the answers. We got audio listeners. All right. We got audio listeners. Listen to it.
See.
Yeah, we know. Mr. Brooks, we got it, dude. So this match, we got Jeff Sneider going up against the party crasher himself, Robert from Late to the Party. First time he's played a match, not paired with his partner Vanessa.
Yep. And
now they're not even in the same faction. So he's under the tutelage of the inglorious one himself, Sam Levine. Sneider over here with the rock stars. Roxy's over here. She's really building up this Rockstar roster, is finally starting to show its stripes a little bit. It seems like they can hang. Jericho showed us what he had on Friday. We know he's definitely coming back, because we talked about that on Saturday. That dude found the thirst for the Schmoedown, man. He found smelled what it was like to win, and he almost had it. And Sneider, I think, is definitely one to, if he watches this match, I think Jericho's probably going to start watching all these matches now. You can look at Sneider and be like, ooh, he's on my team. He can help me with some of this. And imagine Sneider and, Jericho on a call. Robert, on the other hand, Robert just seems like a different animal that Jeff Sneider just eats for breakfast every day. And that's not like anything mean against Robert. It's just like they're two vastly different types of people. One seems to be on a mission. The other seems to be in the way of the person on the mission. You're just a casualty in my way. This is nothing personal. But Jeff Sneider, Bogz, dude, gives him the business.
He pretty much started in his promo. As soon as his promo dropped, I heard, this is going to save you. You shouldn't have bothered. This will save you getting in, knocked out, and saving getting embarrassed. I was laughing. Just how many highlights he's got is, his dancing, his costumes, his jokes, his banter. Like, absolutely, he is. For me, he's. I don't know where. I've not really thought where he is in my kind of top 10, potentially top 5. But he's 100% top 5 favorite players of all time for me. Like, the guy is absolute electric entertainment. His interviews, his post matches on backstage, I absolutely love the guy. Some people get annoyed with this. Some people think he's a heel or whatever. I think this guy is fantastic. Like, for me, like, obviously, Rocha's announced that he's not going to be doing backstage very shortly. So they need another host. Get him on. Imagine getting him his own little like Schneider's Corner section every week. Like, oh my god, I'd love that so much.
Welcome to Snyder's Corner.
Does a little dance on his intro, and yeah, man, I just love it. Like his glasses when he wears hoods or whatever. Like, and he can play. That's the best thing. Like you're saying, like he's got the second most title wins in title matches after Dan Moore. Moore's on 11. He's on 8. So anyone that's doubting his kind of his greatness in this game and where he ranks is look.
Yeah, and then take away the singles out of Dan's, and it's Snyder by a mile.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? So
and he's with 2 teams as well. And he's
you ever heard of the Bryan brothers? They're the best doubles team of all time in tennis. They have won over $200 million in prize money, but they play doubles and they don't get, obviously the highlights that the singles players do. But they're just as great, and it's a different game, and they're perennial champions. The Patriots were that for a long time, but they were also top of the league. Everyone, for 2 seasons, everyone was playing for the right to beat the Patriots. And he has that confidence that dude, Robert's never even tasted that. So that's just unfortunate. This is like one of those, this is just one of those lopsided matchups that even if Robert comes up with, when Robert comes in with his best game, Sneider can still work his way around it. And it's just one of those things that you just like. Robert definitely seems more like the teams. He's got get Robert a good teams partner, and he is in, because that's just those little things that he was missing in this match were just those little things where you could, lean on somebody, lean on that partner to be like, hey, throw me a bone a little bit here.
Woody Harrelson, like
exactly
that little
Woody Harrelson. I got Willie. You mean Woody? Got it. And boom, it's just that little thing. But I mean, going into round 1, man, Jeff almost went perfect if it wasn't for the dang road to El Dorado.
Yeah, that's it. It wasn't a surprise that he missed the animation question, but the guy knows what he knows. Whether it's true of how much he does or doesn't study, I don't know. But yeah, man, the guy just knows so much. Obviously, he's a big voice in the kind of reporting Collider community, so he kind of knows what he knows. But yeah, man, I love his style. I love his antics. He can do no wrong for me. Like, the guy's such an awesome player. So glad to have him back, and happy that he's gone kind of clear in that first round, getting 7 out of 8. Obviously, Robert, he's got his he's done his best he can, but like you said, he's a team player and he's making his debut. So my issue with a kind of newer player coming in like this is, for me, like, I wish these guys played against each other in a playing match. So like, I'm talking like people like Robert against like a Rachel or like a Whitney Seibold, people with losing records. Because in that way, these guys would have momentum going into a match against an A player, because they're not really gonna, you're coming in cold, never playing before, playing against one of the best players of all time. Like, it's
I talk about this in basketball all the time, man.
It's gonna happen once out of 10 times, maybe.
Yeah, the dude that just stands there in the corner that waits for the 3. While like James Harden dances around, and then James Harden like realizes there's 5 seconds left on the clock, and then passes it to the dude in the corner. He's like, "Hey, why don't you shoot?" He's like, "What do you mean? I've just been standing here watching you for a minute. Like, I'm not ready for this." Like,
coming in cold, it's not.
No, you can never come in cold like that.
Unless it's pretty much like it might happen. Next week there's all playing matches against 4 kind of seasoned guys. If that happens, it's a bit of a fluke. It's like a one-time thing. How many kind of newer players or players with losing records, that kind of thing we've seen in this tournament?
Well, I guess the argument against this is Liz, right? Because Liz just kind of did it. But then I think that's more indicative
she's got
swag.
Experience.
I think that's more indicative of swag.
Though. She's like, now she's 4-2. Like, she's been through them matches where she's played people at her level, where she's got the confidence. She knows how a win feels, how can the routines, how to conduct herself, the experiences, using JTs, whatever. She's got all that experiences. Like, Robert hasn't got that. It's his first match. Like, how are you going to beat Sneider in that scenario? So I'd like to just, in tournaments moving forward, I'd like to see these guys have their own mini.
Make it bigger, right? We're asking for more content. Darn.
Yeah. Like, let these guys play each other first and get some wins and have some going, just go through generally the whole match experience.
Same way that Adam had to come in to now play Rocha. Like, you probably wouldn't less, but here's your point, in numbers form. If Adam hadn't played the first match, but then just got the Rocha match, Rocha's going to be way more favored than however favored he is right now, because we had never seen Adam before. Now you've seen Adam, you've seen the way he plays, you can make a fair assessment that the guy can win, and that changes the numbers a little bit. But now, Robert not having that chance to come in, he comes in cold against a player who is one of those guys who can stand in the corner and wait his turn and just come in hot. Yeah, Sneider's, he'll even say, man, he didn't study like that. Like, that's not his MO. Like, that's not the way he plays. He's Allen Iverson. Jeff Snyder's Allen Iverson. It's like, practice. Like, we were in here talking about practice. Like, if he ever went up against Kevin Smets or anybody from the dungeon, he'd be like, how much are you guys studying? And then whoop him. Like, that's his, that's where he gets his confidence from. Not his knowledge, but like his confidence in what he knows, because he knows it, not that he's had to like go back, which is a kind of like a Michael Jordan, like cold as hell Kobe mentality, where it's like, I'm going to play my game. You do whatever you're going to do. You
just reminded me of something. I got a reference which I didn't get last week. So in the previous match, Rachel against Liz, I think Kate was on about Steve Kerr landing a shot, and she said to I think because obviously Rachel was behind in round 3 and she had to nail all of 2, 3, and 5. She goes, be Steve Kerr, nail a 3-point, nail your 3-point now. And I thought, because I've just watched The Last Dance over the last week, so I was like, oh, Steve Kerr, I know Steve Kerr. Jordan said, be ready, and he was ready. Yeah, I got that one. Yeah. So
coach of mine, Golden State Warriors, baby.
Well, I didn't know. Obviously, in the last week, I was like, yes, I got that one. So yeah, that was I was a bit patting myself on the back for that Steve Kerr reference.
Steph Curry making a little appearance on the show. Okay. Yeah, man, Steve Kerr. He was, Michael Jordan wouldn't have.
1 week ago, I never heard of that guy in my life.
What? So his dad's got an even crazier story. Which was in the documentary. His dad was murdered in.
Oh yeah, of course, yeah.
His dad, at the embassy in Lebanon, right?
Lebanon,
in Lebanon, and that's how my dad introduced me to Steve Kerr when I first found out about. When I first found out about Michael Jordan, like when I was like 5, I was obsessed with basketball at like age 5. So like when I found out about Steve Kerr, my dad was like, that guy's awesome, not because of the reason that he played basketball, because like they would chant things about his dad at like at opposing college games at him and stuff. Like it was crazy. And man, Schmoedown competitors, you don't even know the stuff. So let's be glad we only have your friends in the crowd cheer. Not like imagine if each match of the Schmoedown was live within crowd, like random fans in crowd every time. Oh man. Place would be wild if you had a bunch of people in like swag jerseys and rock stars jerseys in the crowd and everything. This would be crazy, man. But dude, let's get in. Second round. Sneider is a gentleman. Sneider comes in and says we're going to let Robert spin.
Sure.
So ends up spinning opponent's choice after spinning away from Thrillers. So logically, we're going to give him Thrillers. So gets through Thrillers. What was the score? 7-4 before, and then at the end of the question, Robert's only up 9-8. So not looking too like that's not the performance you want to give after giving up points over to Sneider. After you don't want to give him any extra juice. It's just not the kind of guy. You gotta basically go perfect because you gotta shake him, and to even continue his little bit of confidence is just it's just tough, man. And Roxy's doing a great job with Sneider. This is where her managerial style, I think. This is where she got it from. She got it from her initial run with The Odd Couple, right? Like that's her initial run of success. And that is at the end of the day, what's influenced her to now, other times we've kind of felt like she's been out of place with some other competitors that this style doesn't really match up. But this is where it's like perfect chemistry, 100%. These two full Bostonian going full at it. And man, Sneider just puts pedal to the metal and keeps on Eddie Murphy. Speaking of Eddie Murphy, I mean, he goes, nails 1, gets 2. Both of them miss John Lithgow. That's a really hard pull for like 4 minutes of a 3-hour movie. Honestly, I had a really hard time pulling John Lithgow in Dreamgirls, and I've seen Dreamgirls way too many times. Like way too many times.
Jamie Foxx, but no, it's not.
Right? No, because because it happens after they've already like really made it into like the palace, and he's the dude that wants to like. Isn't he the dude that wants her to be Cleopatra? Something like that, man. Yeah, I've seen the movie way too many times. Effie, we all got problems. Effie, we all got problems. Then Jeff coming in with question number 4, finish off with Showtime. Boom. Up 13-9 going into round 3. That's a great position. 4 points is kind of my ideal situation. You'd always like to be up more, but 4 is kind of like, all right, they're going to have to nail that 5, right? They're definitely going to nail that 5. And it's kind of puts them in that position where all's in your court, Robert. So let's see what you got. And getting through these numbers, man, to get stuck on Cletus Cassidy like that. That's the one. That's the one where he's going to come back, and that's where it's going to feel like he lost this whole thing. Because if in whatever movies that come out in the last 2 years, if there's a toss-up that's kind of, a T-ball, that's a T-baller right there. And if you can't hit the T-ball, it's going to be a hard, long day about that. Because I know Sneider probably broke that story, so he would have nailed that on the head. At least Robert is one of those players, right, where he stays in the game.
Yeah.
Because he misses that 3, and then he nails the 5 on Kevin Kline like that, which is, honestly happens in the next match too, in kind of a mirror fashion. And for Jeff to just come in and get the hurt locker kind of says, all you got to do is nail your 2 at that point. When you ask a former champion to only have to nail their 2-pointer, Bogz, champions are probably going to show up in the moment.
Yeah, he said himself a little bit of an easy question, which, he criticized. That's what I mean. He's taking shots for the writers. Like, who else is doing that? So, yeah, I just kind of love the shots.
I think Christian will probably say something about that. Probably to him. Like,
hey, probably give him an earful afterwards.
Yeah, chill out, bro.
Yeah. But yeah,
somebody's got to do it, right? If that's gonna be a character, like if he's obviously not saying it, like talking mean about it, but to some extent, it should be allowed to some extent by the players if that's how they feel. You're not gonna not gonna shut them up like it's like they don't take away their First Amendment rights, Christian. Freedom of speech.
Passion. He's a passionate guy. Like, you can't hold him down. Like, if he thinks someone's got easy 2-pointer, he's gonna say it. So that's all. So yeah, but no, he done great. Well, I love the shots between Sam and Jeff. That old rivalry coming back.
Boy, could you imagine that again, man? I miss those guys so much. Man, that's honestly, Sam Levine's one of my favorite players of all time, because Sam's just always been one of those dudes that I was like, oh, Sam Levine's gonna be in the Schmoedown. He was like my first celebrity in the Schmoedown. So I was like, oh, this is pretty cool. And for him to be managing the way he is, he's gonna need a shakeup. Not even gonna try to lie, Sam. We gotta have a chat, because right now, whatever this thing is, trying to ride Ethan, ain't it? Like right now, at least, because you're not going to see Ethan for another 6 months. Realistically, you're probably not going to see Ethan until maybe the championship match before the draft.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe, and that again, he's not. There's no sure thing right now for the suspects. It's a tough place to be in, man. You know where I would like to be? I would love to be Bobby Finstock. This Count Gucci has come alive in the back half of what we thought was a resurgence from other teams. The Finstock exchange is just as hot. I think the points are a little deceiving right now on the table. We sit here, we talk a lot about swag.
Yep.
We talk a lot about corruption. All hail the queen. But we've got to put some spec on the Gucci's name right now, man. Because he had a hell of a draft. And his draft came in clutch this year with some points that he was not expecting to get. Let's not short the points that he's still sitting on from Di Milanta. Those are points that not everybody thought were going to come through at some points in those tournaments, and he made it all the way to the finals. The Barbarian has a chance here to knock out royalty after royalty after royalty for the Barbarian to, in consecutive matches, beat both members of Critically Acclaimed, one of what used to be the most hype team in the movie trivia Schmoedown way back when it was like, oh, who's the Beast partner going to be? And it's Whitney, the beauty. And these two were a match made in heaven. They did, obviously Critically Acclaimed.
Mm-hmm.
But now this guy's tearing him up. And I think this guy could beat a singular beast. I think they're pretty even, because there's a lot that comes into play when certain players play against each other. When it comes to guys like Chance and Oyama, they seem to nullify the age handicap, where it's like there's something to be said about players who just are older than you and were alive when movies came out and didn't have to learn about the movies, but saw them and they're a part of their life. There's a certain thing to say for that. Those are two players that have done a great job of making sure that doesn't matter anymore. I know classics. I know Oscars going all the way back. And that's a huge thing that they've had to do in terms of, raise themselves to the level of champions that they've both been at. Barbarian's kind of just there, man. I feel like he's got just this. And Rocha talked about it when he came on the show. He said Craig's been a huge help to the Finstock Exchange. He's been sitting there helping us study, and you can see why. This dude's a freak. Yep. This dude's like just nailing stuff left and right. Fortunately for us, these two dudes go 7-7 in the first round, missing the same question. Wasn't it who directed Stallone, Ray Liotta, and Robert De Niro in Copland?
Yeah.
Both of them couldn't quite pull that. But other than that, man, 7-7 in the first round. So it's kind of my point is that these are kind of just first round killers. There's a certain level of player that just crushes in the first round, and these guys are there. So on to the second round, unless do you got anything to add? Because I feel
no, not really. Just Whitney, they're both done well. Like you said, they're both good players. It's just that Whitney hasn't got that confidence. He just needs obviously he's 0-3 now, whatever it was, 0-3, 0-4. He just needs that one, that 1-3, 1-4, just to get in that confidence going in to a match where he's kind of supposed to lose or he's not the favorite. So I think we'd see upsets more if that was to happen, but it's too late now.
Christian kind of alludes to will we see you drop the beauty charade, and not charade, but will we see you drop this facade next year and maybe come with a little harsher mentality at this game? Because I know he's got the knowledge, and I think he just gets tripped up on. See, there's a thing where Lon and Whitney, they weren't too pompous about their choices in movies, but that was part of their character, with that Lon would kind of joke about animated movies and comic book movies and talk about cinema and all that stuff and the difference between the two. That'll come back to bite you in the ass in this game if you're serious about it. If that's really how you feel about it and you don't watch the movies, you're not a complete player. You got to figure out a way to fill in those voids. And I mean, it seems right now that Whitney's got to find a way to find a fire. Right? A lot of players have a fire. Some have, a pelt that they like to stroke. What is the pelt's name? It's not a pelt. It's
Elvis.
Elvis. It's a full, excuse me, Elvis. It is a full creature that we know not its length and width. But going into round 2, Oscars for the Barbarian. Pretty solid. I mean, he checks down once for Cate Blanchett on question number 2 and nails the 3 and nails the 4. I mean, the dude checks down once and goes perfect.
Yep.
That's about all you can ask. I mean, besides going perfect, that's about as well as you can do. Didn't give up any steals. Mm-hmm. Talk about Ken Napzok for a second, Bogz. Is this the kind of managing from Ken Napzok you expect going forward?
Yes. I mean, it's been better than what he kind of first come in at, saying that kind of he's just in it for the money and that kind of thing. So yeah, now he's helping Whitney, telling him the right things, telling him to use his repeats, all the tactical stuff. So yeah, I'm expecting that moving forward. Well, saying that he's only got one guy left in the teams tournament. It's better now, but maybe too little, too late kind of thing. But yeah, it's nice to see him kind of doing better and contributing more in round 2. With these guys before it's too late.
All right, Bogz. If you need to step away for a second, I can carry the end of round 2 and then just wave your hand and let me know when you're ready to come back. All right, bud?
Yep, just drop me.
All right. Folks, welcome to the Colin Show. We're going to cover the last little bit of round 2. Excuse me as I look over my other screen here. Seibold coming out and spinning spy movies. So we see this at the end, right? He's not too confident in the spy movies category, just at its broadness. That's another thing we got to think about when players are coming to the wheel, right? When players are coming to the wheel in these kinds of situations, they want what they're confident in. And yes, while you may be confident in spy movies, the broadness of a category can come back to bite you, just like we saw Chance in his last match up against Del Rio. I mean, the guy just won the Inner Geekdom tournament spins inner geekdom, but just can't seem. So, it's too broad, right? So when you get into a situation like that, you just got to focus up. Whitney comes in. He seems fairly confident in the category. It's not that he's underconfident in the category, but, the question writers do a great job of throwing in some bones here. Like the Red Sparrow question, fantastic. Obviously, I haven't seen it, so I just lean Sebastian Stan, but it's just one of those things. Obviously, the Man from Uncle category, the Man from Uncle question, it's one of the two, right? So if you know it, you know it. If you don't, it's just like what we talked about earlier with the Dark Tower questions. It's either Idris or it's Matthew McConaughey. If you don't know the movies and you just saw the trailers, then you're just guessing, right? So then we come to the last question, and then I thought this was great. And we'll get Boggs' perspective on this when he comes back. I think the way that the question writers are starting to lean into these more tricky questions where they're leading you one way and then sharply steering you to another is really great when it comes to, like, if you want to hold these closer to the vest on, your question fours or in your round two, your last question round two, or even your 5-pointer, right? These players are so, stuck on getting asked questions of who directed this, who starred in this, who played this role in this movie. Getting unique like this is what we're looking for. Like, this is the kind of stuff that intentionally throws people off. Excuse me. This just all kind of seems to me that the game's evolving in a great way, and the questions is a way for it to evolve. Those round one questions of who directed this, starting to get into, just the basics of round one. Let's see these questions evolve in round two, even in the ones that require 20 seconds. Those kind of questions are, we started to see those where they gave them, starting like season 3, they would be like, all right, you got 20 seconds to answer this. So overall, I mean, Whitney just got thrown some ringers. To be honest, I mean, this last one, Mads Mikkelsen plays the Schiff in Casino Royale, but who played him in the 1967 comedy version? I mean, that's what I'm talking about here. We're talking about making your brain go one way and then sending you in a completely opposite direction. I mean, that's just good question writing, and just shout out to everybody over there, Abby, PJ, everyone over on the question writing team. You guys, just right now, the last couple of weeks, stepping it up and taking these questions to another dimension. And it's been super impressive to watch. Obviously, it's stumbling some people up, but that's your job. It's your job to stumble people up. And I think going forward, we're going to see a lot more of that. And hopefully what we see a lot more of, from me, quick little segue. We got just Ken and Count, or Gucci, whatever you want to call them. Ken and Gucci are two of the oldest. Okay. All right. I'm going to eat it on that one. They're not two of the old. They've been around the longest. Sorry. They've been around the longest as some of the folks in the league. The professionals, they've done their jobs. And now they've kind of honed their craft enough to where they can change it up a bit. And as we're getting into round 3, I'll bring Boggs back in. Boggs, we're talking about just talking about the managers. A little transition. I was talking about the questions. So I was talking about the question writing and how we've kind of seen that evolve over the last couple of weeks. Talking about that last question that Whitney gets asked in round 2, where I described it's kind of leading you down one road and then a sharp turn into yesteryear. I like those as round 2 questions and as even 5-pointers to offer a new depth to question asking, aside from just who directed this, what year did this come out? Like another way, for example, you could do it is like the Lindsay Lohan remake of The Parent Trap came out in 1997, but what year did the original come out in? Like something like that kind of stuff. It's opening the doors for, I think, where the game can evolve. And I didn't even realize the questions could be a place that the game could evolve from.
Yeah, it's the same thing. I mean, a bit of was it really a trick question? I think Whitney just kind of assumed, it was his mistake, right? So yeah, I mean, I kind of see where he's coming from, but audio's gone.
It's not like a new, not like kind of tripping you up kind, but one to just like lead your brain down one direction and then make it ask it a totally different thing. I think is kind of something I'd like to see more and more out of.
Yeah, why not? People have all kind of over the years have taken a lot of shots at the writers and stuff. So yeah, now they're having fun. Now the ball's in their court when there's matches every week. You're gonna get these twists and turns. Now I particularly liked the Barbarians round 2 kind of Oscars questions. He wasn't getting straightforward. Who won Best Supporting Actress in 1960, whatever.
Right.
He was getting which 2 actors of that kind of thing. Like I like the kind of more trivial questions. Which let me just get it up. Which I actually wrote them down. 1 second. So, like Empire of the Sun. Like which ones they lost out on all the Oscars to which movie? I like that. Or
that kind of stuff. That's right.
Yeah,
exactly.
just nice.
That's
just
new,
kind of
different. Yeah. It's not, but it's not even right. It's not even meant to trip you up. It's just making your brain stimulate different parts of your brain.
Exactly.
And that's just solid. Like I like that kind of stuff. Like it's different.
Not the most
it's
up and down,
exactly
statistical ones kind of thing.
Right.
Like
nobody's breezing through these questions.
Absolutely.
That's kind of what I want in round 2. Like Liz crushed that, in match 1 this week.
Mm-hmm.
And then to see this in match 3, to see the Barbarian, so they're gonna have to think like that's
more than surface level, basically.
Right, exactly. More than surface level. That's round 1. Round 2, let's take it up a notch, because that's one thing where again, we also got to start thinking about what category are you going after? Because you got to like Liz goes after SNL movies. How many times has SNL movies been picked? Once? Maybe once in round 2,
I think,
maybe
once, twice, maybe.
And maybe I don't even remember it being, and I think even it being like a round 3 category even is more likely. But that's a surface level stuff now, right? This is the first batch of questions to come out of SNL movies, so it's going to be the first questions. I don't know if that's how the questions work, but if that's the first batch of questions, it's probably going to be the first ones that you wrote, and so that's the first stuff you come up with. It's probably going to be the surface level, deep cut stuff, which is trivial for most people that are caring about movies. And getting into round 3, that's kind of where we see this going. With the It Chapter 2 question, Whitney's able to get easy 2 points back. Murdoch on the A team couldn't pull it. I even said everyone else but him.
Yeah,
I said
Bradley Cooper.
I said Bradley Cooper, Liam Neeson's though, and then who is it? Who plays Murdoch?
It was the South African guy. I forgot his name.
Yeah.
I did write it down. 1 second. Let me get it. It is Sholto Copley.
Yeah.
Copley? Yeah.
Yeah.
Like
Copley.
Yeah.
And then the 5-pointer nails it, just like Robert nails Kevin Kline. He goes, "Oh, that's The Apartment."
Yeah.
Naturally.
Yeah.
Like, right. That's a 2-pointer. So that's kind of what we see sometimes, is that the 5-pointer is either like, it, you got to think about it, or nah, fam, this ain't it. It's kind of the 3 levels of the Schmoedown. You can actually use all 3 of yours to get to the answer. You either know it off the bat, or you just check out and you're like, oh, cool, I'm done now. Throwing it back over to the Barbarian. To only ask the Barbarian to answer is 2 and 3. That's no bueno. That's just no bueno with the way this guy's playing right now.
Yeah.
Little T-ball there with Mark Wahlberg and The Departed.
Mm-hmm.
And then 2 Tarantino films with Tim Roth. I mean, come on,
yeah.
take a pick.
Yeah, come on.
Take a pick.
Yeah, exactly.
Take a pick. Are you here? You playing this game? You missed that question and you playing this game, we got problems. Like, we got real problems. Yep. If you can't pull Reservoir Dogs and or anything else, I was the Hateful Eight, cut from Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Yep.
I'm real mad we didn't get to see him Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. That was
true.
Disappointed. I hope one day we can get the added scene of that. The director. Well, could you? What else goes in that movie? It's already like 2:45. What's it gonna be like 3? Could you imagine 3-hour 30 cut of that movie? Oh, what's more horseback riding? If we actually get to see Manson, that'd be nice. I'd like to see Manson a little bit. That'd be kind of cool.
Yeah.
Whitney's just not having it, man. I could tell. But this is again one of those things we kind of saw with Jericho, and make a quick comparison. Whitney tasted victory. He knows where he messed up, right? Like, to only miss 1 question in round 1, you passed my test. Congratulations, you're in. It's round 2. Just got thrown some bones, man. That spy movies category is hard.
It's too broad. Too broad. Yeah, as soon as they landed that, I was like, oh man,
should have too broad because you could get anything right. You could get it right. Should have stuck with DiCaprio because you know exactly what we're focused
20
on.
movies, 25,
it's mental.
Movies,
I think that's got to be something. Managers, if you're watching the show, free advice. please speak to your players about this. Like, you will score more points if you stay away from the broader categories. I compared it to Chance last week, Bogz. Like, Chance last week, he's sitting there with inner geekdom. Like, I don't know if you remember this, Bogz, but the dude just won the Inner Geekdom tournament. So logically, you're sitting there thinking, oh, my man's going to run this. No, it's a hard category to just answer 4 random as fuck questions about.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not pulling a Star Trek question, a Lord of the Rings question, a Harry Potter question, and then The Mask.
Yeah.
You're like, that's my brain going in like 12 different areas.
Yeah.
And he obviously, I mean, not obviously, but like he wasn't, studying as hard for that kind of stuff. But Whitney then realizing like that's just stuff you got to learn, right? Stuff that comes from experience. So if you're Whitney, you think he's more suited for teams?
Yeah, overall. I mean, he has obviously had a lot more success in teams, because what he's 0-3 now, 0-4. But like I said, I mean, I've said it a few times now. 0-3, yeah. I just want to see him have a run against, where he's the favorite. Why is he always the underdog? The league is so big now where he can kind of play against a playing match, play someone else who has a losing record, that kind of thing. So and then if he gets a win there, he has momentum going in against the kind of higher ranked player. So yeah, that's the kind of only real way through for these guys that are kind of 0-2, 0-3, 0-4.
So I'll throw this to you, and then we'll kind of wrap up with a little preview of tonight's match.
Okay.
If you're Chance, how scared are you that the Barbarian's going to beat Bibiani? Because I know Chance wants Bibiani. Let's make something very clear here. He wants Bibiani. This is bigger than the singles tournament. This is about checking some boxes. There's a little red in my ledger, right? He's got some red in his ledger, and he's got to clear it out. So, I mean, I'm kind of sitting here in this boat thinking Barbarian might actually be a bigger threat to Chance than Bibiani.
Maybe.
Just because we know less about him, we know much.
And that's presuming Barbarian is going to win that. Bibiani.
Yeah. Right.
Let's say he does, then. I mean, I don't know. I would like to think Bibiani has too much experience for Barbarian, but he does know obviously a lot of inner geekdom, and he's a good player himself. But if I was Chance, I mean, I don't know. You've already got a win against the Barbarian. Maybe play up on the mind games going into that, because Bibiani, I think, is in singles is a more fearsome competitor, just out of the two stylistically. But who knows? I mean, let's see where Bibiani, how he does in that first singles match. I do expect him to come through that quite comfortably, and then if them two play each other, then we'll see. But it's not going to be easy for Chance against Liz Shannon Miller. She played great, but yeah. I mean, just for the kind of tension purposes and entertainment purposes, I would like Chance against Bibiani. Absolutely.
Okay, so then tonight we got Video Drew going up against the return of one of the greatest singles competitors, one of the greatest people in the history of this game.
Absolutely.
Yodi Riley has returned to the Schmoedown singles division.
Yeah.
Let's go. What color jacket is he going to wear tonight? Black or red?
Oh, I think he's going with black.
I would go black,
like
black tonight.
Like
little Death of Superman vibes, and he's going to come back in the Sneider cut. That's what he should come back with, the Riley cut. Let's go. Let's go.
Riley cut. Yeah. I'm expecting it I said it like a month ago. I'm expecting he needs a big tournament. I don't care how he wins, whether if he wins by 1 point, whether he wins by the 5 point, or whether someone else missed the 5 point. I do not care. He needs a few wins to get kind of, because he got knocked out first round last tournament as well. So yeah, he needs some big performances. Hopefully he gets one today. Yeah.
Speaking of knockouts, man, he probably wanted to go up against Mike Kalinowski, but if he wins this match against Video Drew, which is not going to be easy, going to be easy at all. He's got to go up against Scary Perry. And man, I mean, Scary right now, man. I mean, she's creeping up to those one of those players that just has that base knowledge that you don't want to mess with, and then when they study on top of it, watch out. And we'll see how that plays out today, man. I'm super excited for this match. Yodi's one of my favorite players of all time. Been around since season 1. Too, yeah. Original head. So I think that'll do it for this show. Overall, first, before we go, one last bit. John Barr, where in the world is Lon Harris. Take it away.
I've got you now! Hey, wait a minute. You're not Lon Harris. You're the Ultimate Schmoedown Show audience. What are you doing here in my not trap? I mean, I guess while you're here, I'll tell you a little bit about the match between Rachel Silvestrini and Liz Shannon Miller. A solid match, to be sure. This is one of those matches that Christian talks about where the TKO record doesn't really reflect how well the match was played. This was a solid match, especially coming out of round 1 where it was 7-6. Liz Shannon Miller of Swag only up 1 point over Rachel Silvestrini from the Den. Rachel missed the last Samurai question, which was Liz was able to hit. So it was very close coming out of that round 1. And 1 point lead, that doesn't necessarily mean anything. What does mean something is round 2 categories. Rachel Silvestrini spun away from Nora Ephron and got 2010s and wasn't quite able to make it work for her. I get why she took the big swing with the Dark Tower question. You know, between Matthew McConaughey and Idris Elba, it is sort of a 50-50 toss-up. Unfortunately, she chose the wrong one, which meant that Liz was able to get a big 2-point steal already. Silvestrini only managed to get 3 of a possible 8 points from this round, and Liz Shannon Miller was able to steal 3 points from her. That made things a little bit bigger coming out of Rachel's round 2, still at that same point deficit before Liz even spun, and then Liz spun Spinner's Choice. Liz is a great player, no question about it, but when you give a great player Spinner's Choice as well, that's one of those things where you do have to ask the question, yeah, is she good, but is this a match that is ultimately decided by luck, by the fates themselves? Luck is important still, don't get me wrong. I mean, you want to talk about the fates. Hercules had to beat the fates. So that's not relevant at all to this. Liz Shannon Miller did get Spinner's Choice, and she got a 7 out of a possible 8 points on SNL movies. A category that hasn't been spun a lot, so you could argue, oh, well, the questions are going to be a little bit easier. But when I try to think about knowing all of the trivia about SNL movies and having to watch all of the SNL movies, I'm not too thrilled by that prospect, to be sure. But Liz was very thrilled by it because she was up 17-9 at the end of round 2. Pretty insurmountable lead, and unfortunately, Rachel was not able to close that gap. She had a very smart challenge with her three-pointer. Totally get why she did it. Who stars in the rhythm section is vague enough that it's not really clear who are the top 2 build stars. That's kind of where you get a little bit more specific. So the challenge was smart. It was also smart to strike the question from the record, which was the ruling. Obviously, if the challenge is about how the question was poorly worded, then a poorly worded question doesn't belong in a fair match of the Schmoedown. Just like asking it wasn't fair to Rachel, having it count for Rachel isn't fair to Liz. It's a little confusing to understand. I think it's why Christian so often has to re-explain things with the Schmoedown, because it is a little bit harder to tell exactly what the logistics of everything are. But it was a smart ruling, and ultimately, as smart as the ruling was by Rachel, proving she knows how to play the game, no mistakes about it, she just wasn't able to take home this one. The Den is in an okay spot for the rest of this tournament. They do still have James White and Tom in the tournament, though obviously James White is going to be going up against William the Beast Bibiani after his playing match, so we'll have to see how long he's still in this tournament. Swag's chances, though, are still looking a little bit better. Frank Moran is out of the tournament, but Lon and Liz have now both made it past their round 1 matches, and Paul Oyama is going to be facing newcomer Marisol McKee in his round 1 match, so we'll see if he's able to take it home. Swag is now up by 4 points, which is huge. It means that they are back firmly in that number 1 spot in the faction rankings, but unfortunately, Corruption and Fidstock Exchange have some title chances coming up, and heck, even the Quirky Mercs now in 4th place. They could maybe overtake Swag, so hopefully the folks that Swag still has in this tournament are able to take it home. Otherwise, they might be in a little bit of trouble. I've got you this time, Harris! Dang it! Ultimate Schmoedown Show audience! Again? Really? Come on, gang, you're supposed to be smarter than that. Okay, let's talk a little bit about Jeff Sneider versus Robert Montano. Also a pretty solid round 1 tournament match, all things considered. Really no big upset here, no big story. This is just kind of another chapter in Sam Levine having a bad time as a manager. I think he's still the only faction that's trapped in those single-digit faction points. It's almost endearing in a way, because back when he was an active player in singles and teams, Sam was always looking pretty much unstoppable. But then since becoming a manager this year, he has been looking extremely stoppable. He seems like he's always been consistently putting all of his eggs into a singular player's basket. First with McWeeny, now with Ethan Irwin. Arguably, though, I guess also with whoever their teammate might be, Andrew Guy, maybe Janine, so I guess 2 baskets. But Roxy has always kind of had her 3 main players locked in from the jump with this season. Alex Damon, Mark Andraco, and Jeff Sneider. And while Roxy is not topping the faction rankings, those 3 players have definitely been putting the work in for her, as we see in this match. Round 1, Sneider was able to hit 7 out of a possible 8 points. Not perfect, but still very good. And then Robert vibes very well with Sam's energy. I think has been a nice complementary energy that made this match fun to watch and just their manager-player dynamic. But Robert was only able to hit 4 of a possible 8 points. And that's a pretty significant deficit coming out of round 1. A little bit harder to close that gap. But I did want to talk about round 2 because I thought round 2 was super interesting, especially on Robert's behalf, because both players hit 5 of their possible 8 points, and Robert got opponent's choice. It's sort of similar to what I was talking about in the last match, where sometimes the fates can sometimes define a match if you get either spinners or opponent's choice, but that wasn't the case for Robert. Robert was Hercules. Now that metaphor actually does work, and I was smart for bringing it up earlier. Both got 5 of a possible 8 points, with Robert having thrillers, and then Sneider having Eddie Murphy. The one caveat to put in there is that Jeff was able to get a 1-point steal over Robert. Robert was not able to do the same with Sneider and that Dream Girls question, but the lead was not made that much bigger coming out of round 2, and that is a testament to how well Robert played that round. That said, 13-9 going out of round 2. Robert was not able to pull Woody Harrelson, which I'm not going to give him too much crap for that, because it happens to the best of us. We can all make fun of him, but we've all had those moments where we're trying to think of Gina Davis, but the only name we can come up with is Glenn Close, because it's a G. They're not the same actress at all, but it's that hard G. Sometimes it trips us up. It happens. He just was not able to hit enough of his round 3 questions. He did it as 5-pointer, so he did not get TKO'd. But Sneider was able to hit his 2-pointer pretty easily, so unfortunately, that was that. Certainly Robert played a fun game and did not play like a bad game. I know leading with, he played a fun game makes it sound like I'm trying to throw a lot of shade at him. I'm not. He did good, all things considered, especially with that round 2. But Roxy and Jeff Sneider, they make it work. And while the usual suspects are still at the bottom of the barrel when it comes to the faction rankings, Rockstars are now up 3 points and decidedly above the Droogs. They're still, in that kind of like bottom half of the factions, but every little bit helps, especially since now Roxy does have 2 of her 4 players guaranteed to be moving forward, with both Jim Vejvoda and David Del Rio being knocked out. It's 2 of the 3 players that she has cared the most about, the 2 players that she has arguably built her career as a manager on, so it makes sense that these 2 are moving forward and could very easily do some damage and really help the Rockstars move up the rankings. All right, Harris, I triangulated your location based on every vlog you've put up since this season went digital. I've been able to find your exact location, trace where you would be going outside at precisely what time, so I know that it's you under this bag! Ultimate Schmoedown Show audience, I want to make it clear, I am both mad and disappointed. Barbarian versus Whitney Seibold, I think this match went the way most everybody was expecting it to, in that yes, Barbarian did get the win, but it was not an easy win for Barbarian. Whitney's just one of those players who puts on solid performances and isn't able to quite get it over the finish line and get the win. But it was a hard-fought match. Of all of the 3 matches that we've been talking about, this is the one that started off with the closest neck-and-neck race between these 2 players, 7-7. Neither were able to hit the Copland question, which was more surprising for Barbarian just because he's been one of those shutout players since he joined up this season. So 7-7, really, truly anyone's game. But then we get into round 2, and that's always the one where, your fate is then in a little bit more of just what the wheel has in store. For the Barbarian, that was a category he felt very confident in, which is Oscars. After he spun away from Scorsese, he was able to get a 7-point lead over Whitney with his round 2 performance. 7 out of a possible 8 points. That's crazy. And then Seibold got Spy Films, a category he did not feel super comfortable with. He unfortunately had a point stolen away from him by the Barbarian with that Red Sparrow multiple point question. Barbarian was not able to get the Casino Royale steal away from Whitney, but that was a big 2-point miss by Whitney that really could have made things even scarier for Whitney, but he managed to get 4 out of a possible 8 points in round 2, which meant that he was down by 4 points going out of round 2. Barbarian up 15-11. Whitney then hit his It Chapter 2 2-pointer, which I had to look at my notes again and really read that very carefully because that did trip me up. He did then miss his A-Team 3-pointer, a question that I would have missed as well, and I think I saw that movie in theaters, and, to my defense, I was like a middle schooler when that movie came out in theaters because I'm a baby, and I thought it was good because I had a baby's palate. What do you want from me? Even I probably would have missed it having seen it in theaters. But then Whitney was able to hit The Apartment 5-pointer, so no kind of KO on the table. But then Barbarian only had to hit his 2-pointer and his 3-pointer, and that he did, which meant that the Finstock Exchange got 3 more points. Finstock Exchange, a faction that has been up there in the rankings pretty much since this year began. They've been faltering a little bit just as other factions really find their footing and get legs up on them in one division or another. So the Finstock Exchange needed this one, especially because now the Founding Fathers don't have their titles anymore. Obviously, Ben Bateman, Dan Murrell are going to be going up against each other for the singles title match, so that's going to be some nice points for them as well. But they did really want to make sure that their players were able to get through in this tournament, especially since Sabrina, unfortunately, did not win her play-in match. With the Barbarian now making it through round 1, that's a nice guarantee for the Finstock Exchange that they're going to have some more chances for points after the title match is said and done, because there's no guarantee that... obviously there's a guarantee that the Finstock Exchange is going to get points from that match, but it's hard to say for sure exactly whether Corruption will be able to get some more points on them with their team's title match, whether the Quirky Mercs is just going to keep closing that gap, and what other factions are going to do some damage in this tournament. So it's good that they still have Barbarian in place, and we'll see how Rocha and Riley do in their round 1 matches coming up. And then, the Droogs aren't a tough one. Once again, Jader is kind of being the saving grace of this faction, as some of us were worried he might be. He's a solid player. I kind of wish that Ken had chosen either Alonzo or Whitney and then paired them up with Jader, because I think that would have made for a slightly better rounded team. But that said, with a 1-1 record, Deep 13, is that? Yeah, that's Deep 13. There's so many teams. Deep 13 is going to be a ranked team, not going into this totally fresh. So that is probably going to work in their advantage. And Alonzo and Whitney, both solid players who proved that in their singles tournament matches, although both of them lost. Good match had by all. We'll see what it means for the factions as we get closer to the end of round 1 in this tournament. You got to stop falling in the traps, audience. You just got to stop.
We're back. John, hope you find him sometime before 8 o'clock Eastern tomorrow. Let me say that again. 8 o'clock Eastern PM. PM. That's PM time, okay? Not AM, all right? I might not be awake yet. Bogz, it's always a pleasure sitting down with you, man. We're going to have to shut it down here, dude. We're going to have to shut it down today, and we'll be back tomorrow for our live show.
With the delinquent.
With the delinquent himself, Lon Harris. So please.
It's going to be fun, guys.
Oh, my God. If you've enjoyed it, where do you think he's going to be?
I don't know. Hopefully John's found him, or Don has found him or Peanut has found him. Someone's found it. I don't care. I don't care where he is. Lon, you be here. I'm looking forward to you. I'm going to try not to laugh in your face too much because you're hilarious, but I'll try and compose myself for that and get some good questions for you.
Well, folks, that'll do it for this episode of the Ultimate Schmoedown Show. I'm Colin. That's Bogz. We'll be back tomorrow. Follow us at TUSS Pod. Oop, this way. Follow us at TUSS Pod, and we will be back tomorrow. We'll see you later, folks.